let's talk about the light lease a little bit. What are your ideas about how we should, I don't want to say dispose, but what we should do with the money that we're getting from the light lease?
Yeah, it's been very interesting to me. As I've walked neighborhoods, if I've talked to voters, I've only had one person say, I think it's a great idea that we're looking to spend all the light lease money. And I still have yet, I've probably knocked on about 1,000 doors. I've probably talked to about 350 voters personally. And I still have not had one person say, I think it's great that we set up a 15-person panel to spend it all as quickly as possible. And as far as what I would like to see with the light lease, I've been very consistent with this. I came out, I put it on my website in December. The light lease was created, and this trust was created by an act of fiscal restraint. That's, a previous generation of leaders said, you know what, we're going to create an asset, we're going to create a trust fund, and we will have, and then I hear time and time again that now that the trust fund is matured, and now that we're also going to receive additional payments, I hear people say, you know what, we sound more like kids that just inherited a little bit of cash and are trying to figure out what car to go buy, instead of trying to figure out, how to invest it wisely. Pretty straightforward. We have a lot of things that we neglect. We have a large debt. We have infrastructure that's not maintained. We know that we have to spend $250 million separating water and sewer, and to go around and act like receiving $40 million with another $40 million on its way is a vast amount of money. If we were to be prudent and exercise that same spirit that created that asset and use it primarily as savings or some sort of interest-bearing vehicle, and we would have not just the $1.7 million coming in annually, but we could take that principal, invest it, and probably create another $1.7 million coming in annually, or some sort of large amount. And it would probably create several $1 million of regular income in a time when we know that our costs are rising and we know that our income is flat. Because right now we know that basically, unless our economy tremendously picks up, or unless our real estate values start increasing and our assessment values start increasing, we aren't going to have more income. And for as strapped as we are to find cash to fix our roads and other things that we need, it just seems bizarre to me that it's time for a spending spree.
Okay. Switch gears a little bit. Transparency, one of the other issues that you mentioned on your website.
Good. Appreciate you picking up on that.
Well, talk to me a little bit about that issue for you.
Yeah. Transparency, the mayor is really just kind of taken his lumps when it recently with the Facebook out-of-state consultants. And that, I think, has kind of been the lightning rod for a lot of people talking about a lack of transparency. To me, that's just that's just the tip of the iceberg. We're talking about a very tiny piece of a big budget. What concerns me, though, is more of the larger pattern. That's just kind of something that's easy to spot. In the last year, we've seen just out of nowhere the immediate need to pack up out of the city-county building, go buy another building, and then renovate it in a time when there was very few real estate transactions going on. Somehow there was this amazing pressure that needed to be done right away. Very little debate, very little talk, and we've made mistakes as we've seen. I know this isn't directly the city's problem, but the county didn't budget the asbestos issues of the renovations, and a big portion of that was just how quickly it all happened. We've also seen in the last couple of months that we have decided that our city needs to get into the judicial system and create a court system. Well, we functioned for hundreds of years, and we've had smarter people than myself set up our government a certain way, set up our court systems a certain way, and with very little talk, with very little foresight or debate, we almost created a whole new branch of government. That is a lack of transparency, and those are the things that really concern me. The idea that just, whatever idea you come up with that day, we're going to post it on the internet and then vote on it in a week from now, just is not the way to do government. And we're just seeing kind of this idea of that we're going to cut corners without having proper disclosure and proper debate. And I think we're seeing that even now as we're talking about kind of these expedited approvals.
One of the things that bothers me about some of those issues is they do come up awful quickly, and there is very little time and a lot of pressure that we have to get it done. One of the things that bothers me is that interplay between the city council and the administration. Am I imagining things, or do you think that's an issue that needs to be looked at? And what can you do as a councilman maybe to make some inroads and work together with the administration?
Sure. Part of that question, I'm gonna tread lightly on that. Part of that question, really, you have to be a councilman to really understand the true interactions between between the city council and mayor. So a little bit of what I would say would be speculation, but from my understanding with the other Republican colleagues is that there is a lack of communication, there is a lack of leadership. Look, it's right now what we're seeing, we don't like the way that the President of the United States is interacting with the Congress, and the way the Congress is interacting with the President, and that that they're trying to pass a budget and aren't really talking and doing a lot of grandstanding, and quite frankly, it's a very similar setup to the way that a mayor and their city council is set up. And as a citizen, I want to see as much communication as possible. I think that would be vastly improved if we did have a change in administration, because we've seen that these things, these major decisions are coming through with very little discussion, with very little foresight, very little time to prepare, and very little dialogue. And if the mayor's not willing to change those ways, then I would hope that we would just change the administration of who's the mayor.
Mm-hmm.